Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk about the Update 24 Combat Preview. I'm Alcast from alcasthq.com. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. So this is a little bit older, from September 4th, but why is it important? Source in the most recent ESO live said that they will do a special ESO live stream on this Monday talking about the changes from Update 24.
Very exciting. So again, we are going to be doing another live stream on Monday. We'll be going through all of the combat changes that are coming to Update 24. We'll be joined by Brian Wheeler, our lead combat and PvP designer, and Gilliam the Rogue himself. Will be just going through all the changes for the combat notes and giving a little bit more context into them. Yep. So
basically what they're planning to do is show the PTS patch notes and going through them and explaining why they're making the changes. That's the first time they do something like this. That's why I want to quickly talk about this Update 24 Combat Preview, because it's probably more or less about the same thing. I'm not sure why they're doing it, but I think they just want to connect to the community a little bit better and explain the changes. People will complain anyway, so I'm not really sure whether it's useful or not, but we will find out soon. So I guess if you have time and if you're interested, I would highly recommend checking out that stream. They haven't said exactly when it's happening yet, but if you're part of our community Discord or you follow me on Twitter, I will post the information once it's known. Anyway, let's go through this real quick. So Brian Wheeler is basically the lead. It says PvP designer, but I think that's his old job description. He's actually overseeing PvP and PvE. And Gilliam the Rogue is making most of the combat changes. So that's why these two people will be at that live stream. With Update 24 rapidly approaching, we want to give everyone an idea of the changes in store for combat and abilities. There will of course be highly detailed patch notes when the PTS hits, with developer comments, but this post covers the broader theme from the update. This is just like an overview. The combat changes in Update 24 are more narrow in focus than those we made with the ability audit in 22 and 23. Out of that audit came a few things laying under rocks for a while that came to surface, which we are addressing in Update 24, mainly damage over time abilities. We are also looking to address feedback regarding Wardens, Sorks, and Dragonite specifically in the realm of identity. So my biggest issue, especially towards end game, it's not really a problem in like early game or when you don't really care about meta, but the meta builds are more or less all the same, and some of the unique class abilities from classes are not really used, so it just makes classes feel very stale, right? So I really hope they can address some of that. I'm not sure why they're only like... This game has 6 classes and they only address 3. I guess they're just starting doing it. Better than nothing, I guess. Would be good to have everything going at once, but they just don't have the resources. Like the team that works on the changes is very small. It's like 4 or 5 people. And they also have to produce new content while maintaining the other stuff, so it gets more and more and more. Now, like I said, my main issue, and I think what a lot of people have problems with, is like every patch should change so much things. It just gets confusing and people are annoyed because it never ends. They're like, yes, we are working on it, you know? But it's like, yeah, I know you're working on it, but the game is not in alpha or beta anymore. It should be a finished product. It's good that they're making changes, but it takes so long. But I think that has partially to do with that they do updates every 3 months, so that puts a lot of pressure onto them. Other games do like a lot of changes every 6 months, every year. But then obviously it's a lot, but it only happens once a year, so you piss people less off. Especially if you're playing the game and not really paying attention to patch notes. I think it's very confusing. When there is a new DLC coming out, you're coming back into the game and you're like, well, that ability didn't do that last patch, what's going on? Let me actually know what do you think about their update process in the comment section below. Do you think it's good that they update every 3 months, or should it be like a lot like a longer period every 6 months, but then make very small changes throughout the patches. What would you like to see? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's continue. First off, let's talk about damage over time abilities. In update 23 we made changes to overtime abilities to make them more competitive and aligned to a numerical standard. This resulted in more variety in builds compared to update 22. Now a lot of you probably giggle because the meta builds all look the same. What they probably meant to say is like you have more options now how to build your character or your setup. That is true. However, more variety in builds, especially when we are looking at endgame, it's not true because everything is the same. Everybody uses the same dots. You remove class abilities because there's just better abilities like Soul Trap or Entropy. It just makes classes feel not like classes anymore, but more like weapon or ability skill lines, which kinda I don't like it. But yeah, that's probably what they meant by more variety, because you have more options. However, it swung the pendulum a bit too far in the other direction. As we have stated before, our audit pass doesn't mean our numbers are engraved in stone, and this is a case where we missed the mark and are looking to correct that. So it looks like they want to rebalance the stuff again that they did last patch. In update 24 we will be pulling back on the power of damage over time abilities, but not heal over time abilities. That basically means they will nerf dots, but not the healing stuff. Yeah, that's another problem, but this will rein in some of the damage we are seeing in PvP, but should not inhibit the completion of trials, dungeons and arenas. So basically in PvP, the meta there is just you apply your 200 dots on the enemy and he will die. He can't really do anything against it. That's obviously a problem. PvE, it's not that big of a problem, but like I said, the endgame meta stuff, everybody runs the same thing. That's a little bit the issue, like on all classes, right? We have also adjusted our standards of area of effect based dots to once again do similar damage to single target counterparts, but with a much greater cost. So they buff AoE dots again, that they nerfed last patch, but they increased the cost of it. The resource management might get a little bit more difficult, but we will see. Now here they said it will not really inhibit the completion of trials, dungeons and arenas. That's fine. I feel like the power creep is way too strong in the game. I mean, back like 2-3 years ago, we were happy with 30k DPS, I think. Now we sit at like 100k. I think things just got way too easy. Sure, a lot of groups still struggle, but that's mostly a L2P issue. And not really, like, it's just, I think the power creep is just too strong. But yeah, we will see how they address that. The main issue here is, like, it will increase the cost again. And I really, like, some classes, most classes don't have resource management issues. But if they increase the cost here, classes that will have a lot of AoE abilities will definitely suffer from this more than others. Because most PvE builds are just focused on pure single target, right? But some classes have more AoE abilities that they also use for single target than others. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, maybe talking about heal over time. Another big issue is, like, healers are less and less needed, especially in dungeons. It's just most people take 3 damage dealers and a tank because healing scales with your damage. So a damage dealer that has a lot of damage also automatically has a lot more healing, and it just makes healers less relevant. I don't really think they can change that problem, because they would have to completely unbind the healing from your spell damage and magic, and they're not gonna do this. So I'm not really sure how they will fix that problem, especially in dungeons. Because I think it's not nice. I don't think it's good to just focus on damage. Then, well, okay, you're a healer. Nobody wants you. I don't think it's good. They need to find out a solution for that somehow. With the Necromancer, we achieved a very clear identity throughout their class kit. You all have expressed strong desires for other classes to get updates to match that identity, and we are listening. In update 24, we are giving Dragon Knights, Wardens and Zorks several updates to reinforce class identity, and in some cases grant new gameplay options. So there is a lot of good suggestions. I think, like Dragon Knights and Wardens, for example, most of the times it's the stamina classes that really lack identity, like a Zork. So Zorks are basically Stem Zork. The more class abilities you remove, the more DPS you will do. So you just end up playing your weapon skill lines, and that's not good. After all, you pick a class because you want to play the class and not weapon abilities, in my opinion. And I think they need to do a better job on that. Dragon Knights have a pretty unique skill set with the poison dots. They look very nice. I just wish there would maybe 1-2 more stamina based abilities, like with the Necromancer. He has like 6 or 7 stem based abilities. At the start it also didn't have that much, but they actually changed it. So I think all classes should have like 4 to 6 stamina based abilities, which would be cool. Okay, that's this. Gameplay options. So yeah, we will see. They might change some of the skills. We will see how much though. The thing is, it's like, that's nice and all, but what's with the... sure, Necromancer more or less is fine. You still have like a Stamina Templar, which is also not really that good. I hope they will buff it, but I just would like to see that classes have like one unique ability, like a Magicka Templar, Puncturing Sweeps. That should always be the best option for your class, because it's such a unique ability. It deals damage, it heals yourself, so it makes you also a little bit like... You will die less in dungeons if you spam sweeps, but most people will just run Elemental Weapon because it deals a little bit more damage these days and it's ranged. So that's just my opinion. I think this like that skill should almost be mandatory on a Templar. Same for a Stamina Templar, Biting Chaps. It should be very powerful. It is powerful, but there shouldn't be better options in my opinion, because that's like a class defining ability. We do plan on having a more in-depth pass at all classes in the future, but for now we want to make a few changes to abilities that didn't have enough function to their kit beyond this ability just does damage. That's good. But again, it's like we do plan on having enough having a more in-depth pass at all classes in the future. It's like, why start something and then not finish it? I don't understand. Well, I know why, because they don't have enough people to make all the changes. But it's like, I would rather have them focus on one class and finally make it good, instead of like tweaking all classes but not finishing it. Maybe. Sometimes I also don't know what I want. Maybe this is the better option. I don't know. Ultimately, we want to make sure class abilities have good usage cases and bring something extra. For example, Warden's dive ability was either magic or stamina based, and that was it. We are adding a secondary effect of putting enemies off balance when hitting enemies further than 12 meters away. That's nice. It's these types of adjustments we are looking to add to classes as a whole to bring more identity and functionality without heavy reliance on skill lines outside of the class kit. So they know the problem. They know people are fed up that like they can't use class abilities but other stuff. Again, mostly endgame problem. In PvE, or like I'm working on new solo builds on the website, the problem is way less there. Like on a Magicka Templar, on a Magicka Zork, you really use a lot of class abilities, which is cool. And it makes the setup, or like the class you play, feel very unique. Compared to group builds, which are very meta based, and it just doesn't feel like that way. So they know the problem. It's just, it takes a long time to get it addressed. Lastly, in update 24, we are adding several quality of life additions. Major and minor buffs will now display what they actually do instead of just displaying their name in your character sheet or on your gear. Sprint and mount sprint are now handled by the server more efficiently. You will notice that your stamina bar will drain gradually instead of in chunks, and functionality will remain basically the same. We lowered the cost of sprint and fixed an old bug where you could sprint infinitely after mounting. These changes are part of a larger effort to reduce the amount of information the ability system has to handle in combat. We are looking to do more passes like this to block, roll dodge and sneak in the future. Sprint and mount sprint are now handled by the server more efficiently. It's like I really dislike every time they bring up like the server performance. It's complete dog shit. And small changes like this will not change that. It's pissing me more off than doing any good every time they mention the server performance. It's like, yeah, it's nice that you change these things to make the server respond better, but the game is still unplayable in prime time, especially in PvP. And these small changes will not make it make lag go away. So yeah, whatever. That wraps up the bigger picture of changes coming up to 24. Remember, this post is not all encompassing, and along with all of the booth there will be many bug fixes which will be in a full detail in patch notes. So once again, Monday, it's basically tomorrow, they will do that. I will probably also do a separate video on that stuff. Like on their SO Live. If they're really going through the patch notes, that will probably be a very long SO Live for them. But it's good to see, because I do like the developer comments in the patch notes. And maybe the SO Live stream will give some more in-depth. Now overall, so the good thing to take from this stuff here is at least they have an idea where they want to work towards. It would be great to get the roadmap when we can expect these changes to be finished, because it's gonna suck when this will keep going on another 5-6 patches every time, like changing all the builds and stuff like that. People just get very annoyed. Sure, it's an MMO, changes will always happen, but it shouldn't be every 3 months completely change the wheel. So we will see how that will turn out. I do hope they will get their stuff together till the next chapter. That's probably their goal. That like most things are done with by the time the next chapter hits. Yes, that's a long time. But to be honest, there is a lot of other stuff like the performance roadmap they were talking about. So I think with update 24, the queue finder should, like the queuing system should work better. Hopefully, please make it work. And then there's other performance updates that will go till like the next chapter. So I think a lot of their goals is set up to be like finished with the next chapter. Champion points rework is another thing. They haven't even spoken about it, but maybe in There's a Life we can also sneak in a few questions. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below too, if you want. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the juicy like button. Like always, all the builds will be updated on the website. You will, like, I put a lot of focus on my website recently. It's basically my hub area, and I try to build around it. I will try to get the YouTube game going again, because I haven't uploaded that much recently. I'm also working on my bachelor thesis. So yeah, there's that, but we will see. Once the PTS drops, I will definitely cover all the changes and talk about them and what I think about them. That's more or less it. If you want to watch other videos, check them out right here. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.